And No Child Left Behind has been excoriated. It's been really bashed for being something that may have a good intention, but at the same time it does more harm than good. And what the president has been trying to do is he's been trying to amend No Child Left Behind as much as possible with executive orders. But at the same time, I think some of the things they've done more recently, such as issuing 10 waivers to states throughout the United States, is more of a rollback and kind of going backwards instead of forward with education reform. No Child Left Behind, it definitely pushed the ball forward. President Bush, Teddy Kennedy, this bipartisan team said, you know what, we need a change in education, and all of the malarkey stops here. We're going to make sure that teachers, students, parents, everybody is held accountable, and this is how we're going to do it. And President Bush, he drew a line in the sand and said, hey, this is what's going to happen. Stop your belly aching, stop crying. We're going to make sure that every child, regardless of where they come from, what their background is, who their parents are, we're going to make sure they're going to succeed and they're going to get the education that the Constitution says they deserve, because every man is created equal. When No Child Left Behind was first enacted, the people who were proponents, they saw it as being a panacea. It was going to cure the educational system. Whereas the opponents saw it as being the death of the educational system as we know it. It was going to be detrimental to students, it was going to be detrimental to teachers. And I just always thought that if they came together and looked at what they shared in common and what they thought worked with the plan, that maybe they could throw away some of the things or amend some of the things that didn't work and come up with more of a viable plan. By 2014, No Child Left Behind wants 100% of our students to be proficient in reading and math. That's not going to happen. And also, a lot of people that are opponents of No Child Left Behind think that the whole cookie cutter standardized test thing is not going to be something that's going to be a viable way of assessing our students, so they think definitely that should be amended, and we should come up with more alternative assessments for looking at how our students are doing in academic subjects. So if we could look at some of those things and amend them, I think that it would be more beneficial than just simply throwing the baby out with the bathwater, instead of looking at viable ways to make it better. The funny thing about school reform is there's no such thing as true school reform. School reform is a continuous process. As long as we're on this earth, as long as the educational system exists as it is, you're going to always continuously change things. The Japanese calls it Kaizen. It's the art of continuously changing things and improving instead of waiting for things to go wrong. So that's exactly what we need to do.